What's going on, Bucs fans? Welcome back to the Parlay podcast here on the Sick Podcast Network and another Cannon Fire clip. I'm your host, Jason Allen, and what a busy week it's been for the Buccaneers, locking up right tackle Luke Gedeke to a 4-year extension, locking up cornerback Zion McCollum to a 3-year extension, all before they even take the field on Sunday for the game, which is a big deal itself because they're going against the Atlanta Falcons, a divisional rival, and a team that swept them last year. There's definitely some bad blood in the air, although they're trying their best to minimize it. This is a team they don't like. Not as much of the Saints, but they don't like this team, and they definitely want to get that monkey off their back, get that sour taste out of their mouth after losing both of their games to them last year. And start the season off with not just a win, but a division win and a game that really sets the tone of what this defense, what this offense is going to be able to accomplish this year. As you very well know, I think it's a Super Bowl, 50 for 60, baby. I think they're going to hit a Super Bowl. So we'll get into who's in, who's out. We'll get into some of the key matchups to watch. And we'll also get into what my keys to Cannon Fire, my keys to victory. We'll call them keys to Cannon Fire. It sounds perfect on the Cannon Fire podcast. We'll call them that. And we'll get into all of that. And of course, more, whatever else pops in my mind, as you guys know, after the break.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. Pirate Parlay.
Battle intercepted, picked off in the end zone. Bucs are going to beat the Chiefs. We're the champions of the world.
The sickest Tampa Bay Buccaneers podcast. It's going to be sick.
Welcome back to the other side to another edition of the Power Parlay podcast here on the Sick Podcast Network and another Cannon Fire clip. I am your host, JC Allen, and it's game week. It's going to be game day tomorrow for the Buccaneers as they open up the season on the road against the Atlanta Falcons for week 1. Stay on the road in week 2. We'll get into that next week as they face the Houston Texans. But on the road week 1, and the Bucs aren't going to be fully healthy going into this game. So let's jump first into the injury report. Final practice today was Friday. We got updates from both the Atlanta Falcons and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Out for the Buccaneers, let's start with that. Chris Godwin and Tristan Wirfs, as we expected, and knew they'd be out. Again, I still think week 3 is in the realm of possibility for Tristan Wirfs. I'm all the way out to week 6 for Chris Godwin just because I don't think it makes sense to bring him back on a cross-country trip against the Seahawks, but we'll see how that all plays out. Not a surprise. He practiced this week in a limited participation. Was Benjamin Morrison, missed all of training camp with an injury. Was first originally reported as a hamstring injury, but I spoke to him the other day, and he's like, I don't know where that came from, but it's not the hammy. The hammy's fine. Because I said, dang it, Florida on these hammies, and he corrected me there. So wasn't a hamstring, but he's set to go next week. Todd Bowles confirmed as much. He'll be back next week. We'll see what kind of role he has. Because obviously Jamel Dean is the starter and Zion McCollum, who just got paid, is the other starter on the other side. So we'll see where they figure out what to do with Morrison. Bowles has typically been someone that does not rotate his corners out. So whoever's starting the game is going to be the starter. We'll see if Benjamin Morrison can surpass him at some point. I don't think it'll be this early in the season. But if you watched my bold predictions or read it over at Bucs Game Day, you do know that I do think at some point Benjamin Morrison, whether that's due to injury or just talent, will take over that starting spot, giving the Bucs a nice duel of Benjamin Morrison, Zion McCollum out there. Again, not a knock on Dean. I think he's been really, really great player when he's asked to play press man, but they don't play press man enough. And of course, lack of turnovers is always going to be something that has plagued him, and we'll see if it continues to plague him this year. But it's certainly an emphasis on the defense to get those takeaways, and it's not been a strong suit or Dean's forte, while it has been Benjamin Morrison. So the other out for the Buccaneers is Christian Izien. He's got an oblique. It happened 2 weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago now. Todd Bowles has said it's more of a pain tolerance thing. I reported earlier that if it was a playoff game or a clinching game or something, a game that mattered, not that this doesn't matter, it's week 1, but it's early in the season, he likely would have been out there, but they're going to play it safe with him. They don't want to rush him back for him to get hurt. He wants to play. It's more of a team decision to keep him out, so he is 100%. Again, it's a long season, and the Bucs don't just want to win the NFC South. They want to win the Super Bowl. But perhaps the biggest news, the largest news, the hugest news, all pun intended, was that Vita Vea, who was out there on Monday for the bonus practice, was out on Wednesday and Thursday as a non-participant with a foot injury. causing everyone to lose their minds because Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier are on the other side of that they'll be going against. One of the most potent rushing duos in the league there. Bijan Robinson, maybe the best running back in the league, period. So it was a big question marks coming into Friday's practice, whether he'll be in there or not. Bowles confirmed on Friday that he's making good progress. He's likely to play. Was a full participant in Friday's practice, but came out with a questionable designation. Although it does seem like he is going to play in some capacity, even if it's on a limited snap. Bowles said he just woke up and his foot was sore. So again, very, very. They're going to play. I mean, it's week 1. And Levante David had a rest day today, and Mike Evans had a rest day. Like they haven't even played games. Neither of them played in the preseason. So they're just playing it really safe with these guys. Again, Super Bowl's on the mind, and they want to get there. Everyone else that was on the injury report at some point in time, Hassan Reddick with a personal issue, full participation. He's ready to go. Sean Tucker with a hand. He was full participation from the get. He's ready to go. Kadon was limited on Wednesday with a groin injury. But full participation on Thursday and Friday. He's good to go, as is Josh Hayes, who was banged up in the preseason with an ankle injury. He's going to get out there too. For the Falcons, DeMarco Helms and Jack Nelson. Helms is their safety. Jack Nelson is one of their backup offensive linemen. Both are not going to be playing this week. And the only other big question mark, because he's listed as questionable with a shoulder injury, Darnell Mooney, is limited in practice all week. But Raheem Morris said today that he is a game time decision. So it's certainly something to watch there. The rest of the practice report was pretty much just some rest days for some veterans, Leonard Floyd, Jake Matthews, and David Onyemata, all getting some rest days on Friday, while Clark Phillips, banged up with a rib injury, was limited in practice both Wednesday, Thursday, full practice on Friday. He'll be good to go. So as far as the Buccaneers, they are going to have their starting defense out there to start the season. The only person they will not have out there is backups and kind of rotational guys, I guess you call it. Izzy is more of a rotational guy than a backup. So those will be the only 2 guys who are not going to be playing. What does that mean for the Bucs? It's excellent. You have your entire defense out there. You almost have your starting offense out there, minus Tristan Wirfs and Chris Godwin. So it really ebbs in their favor, especially with the Falcons already missing their starting right tackle, Caleb McGarry, who's one of the best run blockers in the league, and then also going down Storm Norton, who's also a very talented run blocker. That means Hassan Reddick's got to be licking his chops going against a third string right tackle. He's got a very advantageous matchup, and he's got to take advantage of it. So speaking of that, matchups to watch, that's number 1 for me. Hassan Reddick. How does Hassan Reddick do coming? Because he is he's an edge rusher who's going to come off the left side of the defense. So that's going to be going up against the right tackle. And that is also happens to be because he is a left-handed quarterback, Michael Penix's blind side. So the battle between him and Elijah Wilkinson, who's played a lot of guard too, was actually originally listed as a backup guard, but they moved him out here just because they don't have the dogs out there. Storm Norton's on IR, Caleb McGarry's on IR, Tyron Wheatley Jr. is on IR, and one of their other backup tackles, Jack Nelson, who we mentioned a second ago, he's out. The tackles they have are Michael Jernell, Jake Matthews, and Elijah Wilkinson. They literally cannot afford to have someone get injured this weekend because they don't have much behind them. But the Bucs are kind of in the same boat, although they're on their backup tackle, not their backup tackle on the left side. And they've had much longer time to prepare for this. All training camp, they knew this was going to happen. So that's my first matchup to watch. Hassan Reddick, he needs to go out there and impose his will on Elijah Wilkinson and really make Michael Penix feel under pressure the whole game long. If he can do that, then the Bucs have a good shot at winning, and that'll open up things for other players because they're going to have to take Charlie Warner or Tegan Quintariano, who are their blocking tight ends. They're going to have to stay in, and it automatically gives them only 4 guys to put out there instead of as far as pass catchers when they have to do that in pass protections type deals to go out there and try to make plays. So gives the Bucs one extra guy, one free guy to go around, whether that's a defensive lineman like Elijah Cansey or Yaya Diaby on the other side, or someone like Servacio Dennis or Levante David. It frees them up to go out and make plays. So that's a big one to watch. I think another fun one that's always good is Mike Evans versus AJ Terrell. Mike Evans it's been back and forth. A lot of these matchups between the three. One game, Mike Evans will go off. The next game, AJ Terrell will lock them up. Mike has looked in preseason form. He looks tremendous already. So, or midseason form in the preseason, I should say. In training camp, he didn't play any preseason games, but in this training camp preseason, he's just looked great in joint practices. Didn't have to play. Same thing with Baker Mayfield. I think that's going to be a fun matchup. I think Mike Evans gets the better of him this time. Gets out to a hot start. Maybe 100 yards and a touchdown, somewhere around that, because they're going to have to pay a lot of attention. They can't pay too much attention to Mike Evans with that safety over top, whether it's Bates or whether it's rookie Xavier Watts, because they're going to have Emeka Ibuka and other problems to deal with as well on this offense. Bucky Irvin, Cade Otton, Devin Culp, if they get him out there. Payne Durham, who really came on as a red zone threat and a first down target. Not to mention some of these other guys. Sterling Shepard's look great throughout camp, and Tez Johnson. Maybe we'll get to see what he looks like out there. So Mike Evans, AJ Terrell is another big matchup to watch. And obviously Levante David, Servacio Dennis versus Bijan Robinson. I mean, you're talking about these guys going to have to go out and cover them in the flat. He's a dynamic receiver as he is a running back. They're going to have to make sure that they are staying off blocks when they try to climb to the second level, disengaging it and going in and making those tackles, because Bijan Robinson can be a real problem if you let him. And I think as we transition kind of into matchups to watch, into my keys to can fire, that's the number one priority, is shutting down Bijan. You have to slow him down some way, shape, or form. And it's not just Bijan; it's Tyler Algier as well, who's a devastating back in his own right. So, you have these two guys that are the focal point of this offense. Drake London is an incredible wide receiver, and I think him versus Zion McCollum is going to be a fun matchup to watch as well, especially after Zion just got the bag. But that's not where their offense was really predicated from. Even going back to when they had Arthur Smith there 2 years ago in Bijan's rookie year. Kyle Pitts has been in the doghouse in all three different organizations that he's been with, or three coaching regimes that he's been with. We'll see if he can get some more action there. He's a very one-dimensional player as a receiver, not much of a blocker. That was never his forte. He was always kind of this big wide receiver at tight end. And for whatever reason, the Falcons just haven't understood how to unlock his potential. I'd really like to see him go somewhere where teams know how to utilize the tight end, because I think, and you look back at it, Zach Robinson, this McVay kind of Shanahan system offense. Shanahan has done a much better job of incorporating tight ends, I think, into his offense. Obviously, George Kittle, who was the guy he had in Washington? He had a couple of good tight ends in Washington. Their names are escaping me. Comment them down below if you can think about it, because I can't get it right now. But McVay hasn't. Tyler Higbee, Gerald Everett have had productive seasons, but they weren't focal points, and they weren't talents like Kyle Pitts is, and I think they're just wasting him over there. But stopping Bijan Robinson is where it all starts. If you can stop and slow down Bijan Robinson, then you have a good shot at taking away everything else. And that's Drake London, potentially Darnell Mooney, and Kyle Pitts, who burned them last year. They're not going to have that ability this year. I think with Servacio Dennis there, it's not the same as going up against a guy like Servacio Dennis, who is adept in coverage, blitzing, stopping the run, very smart, high IQ player. Again, Levante said he could be his heir apparent. So that just shows you the trust level that the Bucs have in him. Obviously, they've been pumped about him, and Levante has in him as well. Keys to cannon fire number 2, pressure Penix. You got to get after him. This goes back to Hassan Reddick, right? If he's going to be double teamed, that opens up something for everybody else. If they try to single Vita Vea, good luck with that. This is the same center that he went against last year, if you remember, Ryan Newshill, that he dog walked back into Kirk Cousins' lap. He has not had a pleasant experience with Vita Vea. I definitely expect them to double team him in some sort of way, whether that's with Matthew Bergeron or Chris Lindstrom. The problem is, if it's with Chris Lindstrom, you're taking away your all-pro right guard in order to kind of slow him down, which is not suffice to say the least positive. But Vita usually lines up on the right defensive side. When he's not shaded over the center, when he's shaded in that like one tech, usually on the left side where Kalijah works the right side, which is if you're looking at the line of scrimmage, Kalijah's going against the right guard. So he'll have Hassan Reddick next to him. If Hassan gets doubled and Vita Vea gets doubled, you're leaving one-on-one. Jake Matthews is a really good player at left tackle against Yaya Diaby. That's a battle that he'll have to take on his own. And Kalijah can't see with Chris Lindstrom, another all-pro, really good right guard. I think that's the direction they'll take, is to probably double team Hassan Reddick with a tight end, either Warner or Quintariano. And they'll double team Vita with Bergeron and Newshill and say, Jake and Chris, you guys are on an island with Kalijah and Yaya. And it comes down to those two guys winning their battles. Because they're going to be the only one singled. Expect Todd to use a ton of blitzes and send some guys in. Maybe Jacob Parrish on a nickel blitz, Antoine Winfield on a safety blitz, Tyke on a safety blitz. There'll be certain looks and things they do once they realize, okay, if Yaya is not getting enough penetration, or if Kalijah can't get enough penetration, which I don't think will be an issue, then they have that opportunity to send an extra guy, because, again, you're taking for 4 guys on the line, you're taking 6 guys to block them, so that leaves somebody free. So expect them to get some, if they're not having success with their 4, which I think they should have this year, expect them to send somebody else in there to get some pass rush as well. But don't think that's a problem, but it is key to cannon fire number 2, pressure Penix. Keys to cannon fire number 3 is limit the mental errors. How many times last season did the Bucs beat the Bucs? A lot. They're going into a loud environment in Atlanta. It's going to be very loud inside that dome. It was loud last year when they went and played. I went to that game. It was a very raucous environment. So for the offensive linemen, just silent counts is going to be huge. Watching the ball, no false starts, no flags for holding or anything like that. Don't shoot yourself in the foot. Don't kill your drives by being the one to get a penalty. I think that's going to be super important for the Bucs this week. On the defensive side, if you get beat, you get beat. Unless it's one of those, DPIs where you save a touchdown, you gotta be careful with your hands. Let's not have a spit gate. Let's not have anything like that go on. Play, smart football. Play within the confines of the game. Play to the whistle, through the whistle, but know when to stop. Luke, I'm talking to you. So I think if they can do that, limit those mental errors. Don't beat yourself. No interceptions, no Baker sacks. Like, go out there, play clean football. There's no reason why this Atlanta Falcons team should beat you. I just think the Bucs are a better team. I think they have more talent on this team, and I think they're poised to get their first win of the season. If you watch my season predictions, I have this as a win for them. Score prediction is going to be 24-17. Again, I think offense is always sloppy in the beginning of the season, so expect it to maybe not as high scoring as we expect it to be. The Bucs defense has had the Bucs offense for the most part in training camp. Again, Bucs offense trying to try out a bunch of new things too. We know Baker always uses that as a playground, as practice, like he should, right, to get better. But certainly the Bucs defense has been flying around, making plays on the ball, at the ball, turnovers. I expect them to do some of the same going up against a rookie quarterback like Michael Penix. Not rookie quarterback, but only 3 starts. Young quarterback, I should say, with limited starts. I expect them to do some things to confuse him, rattle him, and maybe cause some turnovers there as well, especially if, going back to keys to cannon fire, number 1 hits and number 2 hits, they shut down Bijan and they pressure Penix. Then they're going to have to, if they shut down Bijan, they're going to have to throw more. If they pressure Penix, that leads to more opportunities for them to make plays. So that's our quick little keys to cannon fire breakdown here on the Power Parlay podcast on the Sick Podcast Network. Again, 1:00 start. Buccaneers in Atlanta. I've got them winning 24-17. Drop your score predictions below. We'll be back after the game for a post-game breakdown, giving you all the content, news, and all that stuff. So make sure you're tuned in, you're liking, you're subscribing, your notifications are on. And you guys will get updated whenever we go live, whenever we drop a cannon fire clip, and whenever we do some of these shorts that go live as well. So appreciate y'all for tuning in to another episode, another cannon fire clip episode of the Power Parlay podcast on the Sick Podcast Network. I'm JC Allen. Like, subscribe, turn on notifications. We're out of here.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast Pirate Parlay on YouTube, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.